My parents were immigrants to this country. When my grandfather, who was in China, was raising my father was not expected to go to school. However, he didn't feel like that was going to be his future, and so he would go out at night beneath the street lamp and study beneath the lights in the village on his own as a child. He got into high school, he got into college in China, and then immigrated to the United States to continue his studies and to get employment. So he got a master's degree in the US. However, because of his accent, he had a challenge getting a job. So he faced some significant racism and discrimination. And so then I was born. I was born in the United States. However, we were quite poor. I was born into poverty. We lived in a trailer park. We didn't have much. I remember counting food stamps to help us buy groceries at the store. I was on Medicaid, all of those things. And a woman who was in our neighborhood, she was actually a nurse. She was an OR nurse, and she said to me, you know, Sandy, you should become a doctor. And I thought, okay. Yeah, sounds great. But I didn't know what that was, and I didn't know what that meant. So she gave me, she was an OR nurse, so she gave me the little hat for the OR and shoe covers for my shoes and the paper gown, and I just thought that was so amazing. And so luckily over the years, I turned out I was good at math and science and was able to get into medical school, and then found that, you know, all along that I loved children, and so pediatrics really became very natural for me to go into. I had a mentor, a pediatric neurologist, Dr. Stephen Shapiro. You know, and I was a medical student. I'd never been in a hospital. I'd never seen what it was like. And he would take me on rounds, and he would take me into the NICU where he was seeing newborns and preemies. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I had another mentor who told me, you know, as you're deciding what you want to do, you know, which specialty you want to go into, he said, look at what they do every day, you know, because all of them have something exciting. But look at what they do every day. And if you find joy in that, that's what you should do. We're lucky in our profession. Children are generally quite resilient. And so what we see is when we take care of kids, we are not only just taking care of their illnesses, but we're taking care of their future. I think part of the reason why they get better is because of course, the science and the work that we do. But a lot of the reason why they get better is because of the love that they get and the families and the care that we all provide them, and that ability for them to adapt and be resilient is just amazing, because ultimately we're focused on the child. And as long as we keep the child as our North Star, we're going to be fine. And it's so important that we, as pediatricians, remember that, and for everyone else to know that that's why we're doing what we do. It's for the children. But truly, what makes us successful as pediatricians is all of the work, all of that collective effort that's happening all across the country and the world from all the pediatricians that are working every day to help children and families. And so being president is an incredible honor. I'll tell you, often I'll wake up and not remember that I'm president of the AAP. And then I'll open my email. And then I remember, oh yes, this is what I am. Throughout my career, I've had the honor of receiving awards or being named to positions or making achievements, and that's incredible, absolutely incredible. And of course, being president of the AAP is one of them. But one of the biggest honors in my life was a day where I saw this family. So it was a child I'd been seeing for some time, and she was 16 years old now. And so I'd been taking care of her since she was born. And so I said to her, and as I often do, you know, when I'm talking to teenagers, I said, so have you figured out what you wanted to be when you grow up? And she looked at me and she said, you know, Dr. Chung, I want to be like you. And she wanted to become a pediatrician, and that was just incredible. absolutely incredible. And I couldn't have asked for a better honor than that.